What's up, everyone? Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, because I'm here teaching all week for Imaging 2020. It's been an awesome week, so if I just met you here, please write a comment down below. That'd be great to hear from you. And I'm sorry for this haphazard setup. I didn't bring any constant lights, and I couldn't find a quite enough place with enough window light. So what you're looking at right now is all the light sources in a hotel room balanced with gels and bouncing all over the place to create as much of an even wash as I could get. That being said, bear with me on this one. It might be a little slow in the switching because of the setup I got going on here. But it's a smash and grab information week. There's not too much to talk about, but there is some important stuff to talk about. And I think one of them is this. Instagram is now hiding photoshopped photos. This is what you'll see as false information. And you can click on it before you see the image on certain profiles, on certain content that's been posted. What is actually happening here? Well, according to Instagram, what's going on here based on people reporting an image and also their own AI, the image that's in question then goes to a third-party fact checker, whatever that means, whoever that is, and they then make the call on what it really is, and then they put a flag in front of it so that people have to click it before they can actually see it. This might inhibit people from finding content out there, especially because it doesn't hit the explore page. It's not organic in the mix, but it could also help people who are already following someone to be more engaged, to click to see because they're intrigued to know what it is. And I don't know, I think that's far-fetched, but I do think that it is inhibiting people from being discovered more and more, which we already have an issue with the new algorithms, with Instagram coming out every day. All the influencers are complaining. It's been a nonstop issue. I think this is kind of grimy. Instagram is not just for photos anymore. There's plenty of people putting out digital composite artwork. Anya Auntie, who we've featured on Adorama, is one of them, and I think she does some amazing work, and some other people do really great work. It doesn't have to actually be straight out of camera to be considered an art form, and Instagram is a visual sharing platform, not just for photos. I do understand that they don't want to put out things that are like false or doctored to create as if it was factual. That's the different story. But I think right now it's a little not refined, just kind of not there for these kind of mistakes. And it's going to affect a lot of creators out there. If you're one of those people, let me know down below. I'm with you. I think this is kind of grimy. Of course, Instagram's always throwing things out there and then trying to fix it after the fact. But for right now, this is affecting people's profiles, because if this continues, what basically happens is your stuff just isn't discovered anymore, and they will just flag your profile as not a viable platform at all, and you might actually get thrown off of Instagram, which we've seen plenty of times before. All right, let's move on. Speaking of Instagram, actually, I'm like, let's move on. Oh, Instagram, more Instagram. If you're someone that works for a company and is constantly dealing with tons and tons of DMs, well, Instagram is now allowing for direct messaging right through a desktop platform. So instead of you having to like live your life on a phone, you can now use regular OS on your Mac or whatever system you're using and not have to deal with hugging a phone and typing long form novels to people, which is pretty great. So which is something that we have to address, because we're creating more and more jobs in this world based on social media. There's jobs that never existed before. Right here at Imaging USA, I'm meeting more and more. This is our social media person, and that's 1, 2, 3 people per company out there. That's a whole new sector of work out there, and I guess we're acknowledging that they need a better workflow. All right, let's talk about a little bit of gear, because gear is always fun. Sony, nope, it's not the S3. Breathe. I know. We'll get through this together. Unveils the wireless shooting grip for mirrorless cameras. This is actually pretty nifty, and it's pretty affordable. So for the A9 II, the A9, the A7R4, the R3, the 7 III, the A6600, A6400, A6100, even the RX107 and the RX02, it's available. So what does this thing do? Pretty much it's a 1/4-20 screw mount to the bottom of the camera. It's wireless, so there's no USB connection to it. It's not a gimbal, it's not a stabilizer, but you can create tilt on it, and you can do 180-degree flip if you're a vlogger. It's pretty cool. It gives you another aesthetic to creating content out there with smooth motions to your movement in the camera. And if you're not experienced with that, it's a good way to get moving on that. And of course, it can help you graduate to gimbals and stuff like that. I think the power of this interface is that you can have everything in the camera right there at your thumb, so you're quick to move. You're not looking for settings, not setting custom buttons. And of course, if you're a vlogger, you're not going like this and trying to not put your thumb on the lens or not press a button or just have an awkward pose or just gripping it to hold it out parallel. It's pretty interesting that this is the way they're thinking. 140 bucks, pretty easy price point. I think people in the Sony genre that are into what they're putting out there, the features they're putting in their cameras, it's a no-brainer, right? So let me know if you're interested in that. It was a super, 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 super quiet release. Like it just kind of was like, here. So let me know if that's interesting to you. Drones. There's some airport news going on here. Let's talk about this. So there's a system in the UK for Heathrow Airport. I'm sorry, I keep looking down. I have like these 4 screens and I'm doing it all weirdly now. Heathrow Airport installs an anti-drone system that can locate the pilots. This is kind of crazy that not only can they detect the drone and deal with that, they can figure out within a 5-mile radius where the pilot is, and then if they are caught, they can face up to 5 years imprisonment, which is what? But that is a max sentence. We always hear about things like that. There's maximum sentences, there's typical sentences, things like that. But either way, they're getting serious, and it is a safety thing. And of course, drone pilots need to get more and more aware of how they're operating their drones. We just heard about that guy in Vegas who got slapped with a $20,000 fine based on what happened there, landing a drone within a mile of an active runway, or feet within an active runway. So this is getting serious. We don't need to push the FAA, or more regulations are being crunched down. So just be smart out there with your drones. I know everybody's fighting for the ability to use them. In New York, where I'm from, there's like 2 12-foot little circles that you can use a drone in, so it's kind of useless. But that's what it is. Good news for some Apple people, or maybe you don't care about it, but what they're finding out is that Apple might be developing a pro mode in their MacBooks. Basically what this does is it overclocks, quote unquote overclocks, your MacBooks, the 16-inch MacBooks, some newer forms. It'll make your fan go to nitrous, and it'll go it's just gonna boost up your fan to cool it down. It's going to drain your battery, and it's going to create faster processor speeds should you need it. So I guess it's like hitting a nitrous button on your MacBook. If you're out there in the field and you just need a little bit more power, a lot of you video guys out there might need it. We're going to higher res, deeper and deeper bit rates, bit depth, I should say, color, all sorts of things are going fatter and thicker files. Codecs are getting crazier. I mean, we just saw the 1DX Mark III with the video specs on that camera alone. If you're out there in the field as a photojournalist, you might need the speed on your laptop to process that video to get it out where you need it. So that's pretty cool. Again, that is just what they're assuming. They're based on what they're seeing in the coding in the newer Catalina. And just as a side note, Catalina has been kind of a mess for people. I had it give me issues, especially with the security and permissions. All of a sudden, in the middle of a commercial job, it caused Capture One to be seen as a threat and wouldn't allow it permission as an external volume. So I had to go in there and reset that. So if you're having that issue with Capture One to Catalina, go into your permissions and just give it permission to use Capture One. If you're an Adobe Lightroom user and a Canon shooter, apparently you're not going to be able to use Adobe Lightroom to tether for a little bit. There's an issue with it on Catalina. It seems to only be affecting Canon cameras right now. They're all aware of it. Canon's aware of it. Adobe's aware of it. My mother's aware of it. So they're working on a fix for that. I have no news on that, but I know it's an issue, and I've seen droves and droves of people go into Adorama trying to find a solution to it. And as of right now, there really is none, and a lot of people are just shifting over to Capture One with a trial, the 30-day trial, just to hold them over until they get back to Lightroom. So stay patient on that. I know it sucks. Sorry about that. But they can't know about issues till they hit. So that being said, I guess they could have tested a Canon camera, which is like the most widely used camera in the world. I'm not going to get into this. Let's talk about a camera that's not super widely used, but is super awesome. Hasselblad has put out an XCD 45mm f4 lens, which they're claiming is the lightest medium format autofocus lens, which is just under a pound. You can see here, 0.7 pounds. 45mm on a sensor this big is basically a 28mm. It's a really sleek, beautiful lens. Let me go back to that. It is like a super minimal design. You can see the true Hasselblad design here. And this X1D and the X1D2 has been a killer camera for them. We had it in our studio. Daniel Norton was shooting with it. The colors on it were amazing. It really does have a really super awesome. It's really super awesome. I sound like a millennial. Really super awesome image quality to it, and to have that kind of interface and a nice flat easy to hold, rangefinder-ish feeling body is pretty awesome. Especially when you've been growing up with Hasselblads that were like these tanks, the H series, which were like these huge cameras. So that's pretty cool. A 45mm lens for a walk-around camera medium format. What's more fun than that, right? Canon. So Canon just won a pretty crazy lawsuit. There's been some counterfeiters on eBay putting out their batteries, and Canon went right after them and sued a couple of them, and they won. Not that this is crazy monumental, of course, if you're counterfeiting somebody else's patented or copyrighted stuff, you're going to get flagged, but they really did go after them and they won. We saw this happen with the Nikon Z batteries as well, but no one got sued over that. No one got caught, but there were a flood of counterfeit batteries. Be aware of that. Power to your gear is crucial. If it has any hiccups to it, it could cause issues within the camera. It is a chain reaction of things that could happen. So don't ever skimp on battery for your cameras. And if you think you're buying legit batteries, double check, look at the printing on the battery. If it seems a little shady, Nikon, Canon, Sony, they wouldn't put out anything with like haphazard looking printing on it. Look for the hologram stickers, look for branding on the shells themselves, like the actual plastic. Make sure that things are spelled correctly, all sorts of things. There's a lot of websites out there that can show you what to look for in the decals on your battery if you're wondering what to look for. I actually caught a false Nikon battery because the Japanese lettering wasn't even really Japanese lettering. So be wary of that, okay? Let's talk about Tokina. They launched a new line of lenses for the Sony E Mount, and it is starting off with an 85 f1.8, and it's pretty affordable at about 500 bucks, which is pretty great. Gives more options to Sony users. Of course, you know, third-party glass will always keep on expanding lines for every camera brand out there. And it seems like it's a pretty nice lens. I couldn't tell you, I haven't actually shot with it or had it in my hands, but I think a $500 price point for a 1.8 85mm is a pretty great way to get into that type of glass if you are just starting out shooting and you want to get like a fast prime. There you go. 85 is a great focal length for portraits or just getting that good separation if you needed compression as well. I know compression is based on perspective. It's not really compressing the space. So let's not get into that. If you do want to get into that, you can see any of my other channels where we talk about some nerdy stuff. Let's talk about Leica though. Leica has just put out yet another monochrome, but it is the M10, which is the silent shutter version. So if you look at this, no iconic red dot and no shutter sound. It is completely silent. This is like the ultimate street camera. The monochrome is really special in this one because they built this sensor from the ground up. They didn't just like, let's just reformulate or just take out the color. It's super special. I shot the original monochrome, and I remember when I first got it, I said to myself, oh man, who's gonna pay this much money for a camera that does less stuff? And then it hit me when I shot a couple images and I go, got it, because it's actually doing proper gradational tone, just like you want proper color in your original images on any other camera. So I'm a big stickler for black and white. I believe in having all my gradation tones there, having informations in my shadows, but having crunched down solid blacks, and having information in my highlights, but still having that pop white, and then every gradation in between, having that silvery feel. And I think a lot of like presets just go desaturate, and it's like a milky, just gray on gray instead of black on white, or I should say gray and gray, not black and white. Whatever, could have had it. It's really early here, kids. I'm sorry, and I've been talking in front of crowds all week, and my brain is like. Having said that, this does come at a price point of about $8,500 for the body alone. That's Leica, that's what it is. 40 megapixel monochrome sensor, super sharp, gradations are right there. I'll tell you, the monochrome series from Leica, one of those is going to be my retirement camera. When I hang it up and I just want to walk the earth and shoot, that's going to be where I go, is right to the Leica monochromes. Super special stuff. And we've seen monochrome happen in video too. Red makes an 8K black and white sensor. That's pretty incredible. Now we have to think about, do we need that specialization if we're going color black and white? That's up to you as the shooter, as the user, as the person creating the work. For one, just like the idea of being able to shoot and it's out of my camera right where I shot it. And that's kind of how I set my Fujis up as well. I feel like my Fujifilm X100F is like my poor man's Leica, but it's still an amazing camera. I don't know, I'm like rambling here. I'm not kidding you. It is super early right now on the time of this recording because I have to get out of here and start teaching some classes. So I'm trying to get this out for you guys. In last bit of news, Amazon. Yeah, so this could be seen as shady or it could be seen as just like resourceful. So let's take a look at this. CNBC put out a quick little documentary or behind the scenes of how Amazon works. And basically what they're saying is that third-party retailers are taking returns and making bundles out of them. So let me break this down. So if you go to Amazon, you bought, let's say, this Canon, and then you returned it, instead of going back into stock or going back to Canon or just not being sellable, they'll sell it to a third-party retailer. They will bundle it together with a bunch of stuff and then sell it at a different price point, and they'll actually make a profit off of it. What's funny about that is the bundle from the third-party retailer goes back onto Amazon itself. So you bought it from Amazon new, it got returned, it goes back to Amazon, someone else buys it, puts a bunch of stuff with it, goes back on Amazon, and you're actually buying a semi-used or open box camera. So be aware of that. That could be seen as, or it could be seen as, oh, well, that's good because they're not wasting electronics and it ending up in a garbage heap somewhere when it's a perfectly good camera. So I'm curious, let me know down below what you think about that, if that's something that you think is a positive or a negative, because I'm kind of like, I guess if they list that it was like an open box or not brand new, I guess all's well and good. As long as you know what you're getting into when you buy stuff, what's the real issue, I guess? I don't know. It is what it is. I'm going to leave the news there. Being here at Imaging USA has been a total honor. It's a 150-year-old organization that really protects photographers. And I think that people here have another mindset of education as opposed to any like just normal trade show, just going to a floor and seeing what brands have to offer. Even though they do have a trade show floor, the people speaking here have really got my brain going. And I think this is kind of what we need, is actual people that want to learn and not have these golden answers to stuff. So what I want to know from you, question of the week, is down below, what is the missing piece of information you don't feel you're getting to clean up your game or tighten it up or get you to that next level? Is it, I don't know how to use off-camera flash? What the hell is white balance? Is there something that's just not clicking for you? What's shutter speed? What's flash sync? What is flash duration? What is reciprocity failure? Like, what are all these different things? Let me know down below. Even if you're a super novice and don't know the three main aperture ISO, shutter speed, or you're super advanced and just don't know how to maybe market what you're doing out there, or looking for the next evolution of how to get what you already know to be more valuable for people out there to hire you and stuff like that. Let me know down below what's hitting you guys for that, because we're creating constant educational content for you guys, and we like to know what you are missing out there. We're in an era where the audience is more educated than ever before, having been exposed to so much free content of educational means, right? So just because it's out there doesn't mean it's true, right? Which is pretty much what Instagram is trying to counteract with their whole this image has been altered kind of thing. And just because there's a lot of information out there doesn't mean there's a lot of wisdom. So be aware of that, and go to reputable sources. And I think that's what I just discovered here at Imaging. It just feels like a really reputable educational platform for photographers. So if you've met me here, write me down below. I would love to hear from you, and let me know where you are missing in your game, and we will talk next time. Hit like, hit share, all this stuff around me except this button. Hit the bell so you know when videos are coming out. If you can't tell, I'm rambling because I'm absolutely exhausted. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for your time. I will see you guys next time.